Okay. My name is Allison Nelson, and I am the art teacher at KMS High School, and I am 44 years old.
All right. We were wondering, where were you at the time of 9/11 incident?
I can tell you exactly. I was at Gustavus. I was a senior in college, and I was in the sculpture studio. It was kind of like the shop. We did welding and bronze work and stuff in there. And then our professor got a phone call from his wife, and she said that somebody bombed the World Trade Center. And we were like, oh no, that's terrible. Then she called back a little later and said, okay, it's intentional. The second tower got hit too. And we were like, ah. And then all the classes just sort of were canceled that day, and people just wandered around like, what's going on? Are we under attack? Like all this stuff. And we went to the cafeteria where they had a big projector with a screen watching the news, and we just watched the news all day. That's what I was doing in that moment, I guess.
What were your immediate thoughts and stuff about when you first heard about it?
Nothing like that had ever happened in my lifetimes. That was 2001. I was 21. Yeah, 21. And there was the Gulf War and things like that in the early 90s, but there hadn't been any attacks on American soil or anything like that. There hadn't been any hijackings or anything. And I don't know what I thought exactly. It just kind of was unexpected and surprising and didn't know what to feel, I guess. In that moment, anyway, until we learned later what had happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did it immediately affect your family or yourself at all, or anybody in the community you know?
Nobody that I knew. I mean, there wasn't. We were watching the stories of people who were in the towers, and I remember them saying on the news, "Oh, there's 30,000 people that work in these buildings, or 50,000, or whatever." And it ended up, as they were going through that, it's 2,000 or 3,000 people, whatever. You guys probably know more than I do that actually passed away. But I didn't know anybody in New York at that time. And then there was the Flight 93 that crashed in Pennsylvania. And there were people from Minnesota. I remember hearing those stories that they had gotten phone calls from their spouses or their brother, whoever was on that plane, and saying, hey, the plane's hijacked and I don't know what's going to happen. But I didn't know any of those people personally. But you certainly feel just for families who had lost somebody or who were going through tragedy and things like that. But nobody I knew personally, I guess, was affected. And I didn't have anybody that I knew in the military at that time, I guess, or anything that would have been called upon or anything like that. So just as an American, I guess, it affected me. Yeah.
Did it change anything about your daily routine or how you looked at every day?
Well, that night, so I worked at a flower shop in Mankato, and I went to work that night, and then when I came home, one of my roommates called and said, you got to get gas before you come home because the gas prices are going to go sky high, because I think they had figured out it was people from the Middle East, and I don't know how they knew that would affect the gas prices, but when I came home to St. Peter, there were cars down the block to get gas because everyone thought we were going to run out of gas or something like that, or that gas would soon be $7 a gallon or whatever they thought. But yeah, something they thought the gas prices would go crazy, and so I thought, well, I'm not going to fill up with gas right now. I'm not going to sit in this line, but everyone kind of worried about that stuff. And then, so that was in September, and then I flew, where did I go? To Seattle in January, and then they hadn't ramped up the security like it is now, but I remember I had a bottle of water with me, and they made me take a drink of the water before I got on the plane to prove that it was not poison or something. Yeah, but it was still pretty light. But I remember traveling before that, and then certainly what it is now. I flew by myself a couple times, and my parents just walked me up to the gate like nothing, and they didn't have any tickets or anything. But then after that, it was all very secure and locked down. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that I remember changing, which isn't a daily thing, but just something that I remember about regular life that became very different after that. Yeah.
I think that's about all we got for you.
Oh,
thanks for
okay. Was that helpful?
Yeah, most definitely.
Good. Have you asked your own family about this? Do you have to ask other
yeah,
people?
we'll be asking my